Hello there everyone, subscriber, viewers, Nathan, welcome. Now at some point in your life you must have came across a romance film, whether that be an anime, movie, or a piece of literature, you have come across it at some point, or just public affection. I generally hate it when people do public affection love. Please keep it to yourself, we get it, you're in love, just or at least be more tame about it. I don't know, hand holding, but that might be considered lewd to some people. Despite me being single for my entire life, I do love a good romance story. Could it just be general fantasization of wanting to be in a relationship? Or could it be that despite how different these two lovers are to each other, or just in general, they both help with each other's flaw and actually improve one another's life, making them have a reason to live or even stay for the other person? I don't know. If I learned anything from real life couples, is that love is very illogical, and that from a lot of the couples that tell me to never get a girlfriend or marry a woman, I usually get those advice from straight people. So today, I just thought I should talk about a few of my favorite romance films, whether that be movies, anime, manga, and who the hell am I talking about? A lot of these are just honestly anime and mangas. I'm going to be talking about the piece of literature itself, as well as my thoughts about it. I'll be going over one piece of romance material based off the relationship, aka heterosexual and relationship, aka the straight couple, and lesbian couple and gay couple. I will be mentioning one honorable mention for each of these categories, but if you guys want, I am willing to make a video for the honorable mention, whether that be all together or its own separate video. So, I hope you all enjoy a hopeless romantic yap about romance story. Let's first start with a heterosexual story, a story about a guy and a cripple. Now when it comes to straight romance, especially since they get played and used the most out of everything, it make it hard to where the romance is actually justified. Most of the time with these straight romance story, from what I notice, they get these two people together that aren't compatible for one another, or just shoehorn the romance in some unnormal way. I think the two best examples of this is just a MC who looked like a completely normal and standard person getting with like the main love interest who is totally way out of their league but they somehow managed to get, or that, hey, we've been best friends and we know each other for years and I know that you know me close and I know you close. That why I dated this guy that I met 3 weeks ago. Oh, come on! Thus, I feel like when it comes for straight relationship stories, they feel downgraded compared to a lesbian or gay love story because they don't feel realistic or natural, or just simply make sense in an illogical way. There have to be an actual reason why these two are compatible for each other. I think a great starting example, or a best easy way to do this, is by making them have a connection to something, whether that be both of their love for space, or in this case, their love for the sea. Josie the Tiger and the Fish follow two main characters, Tetsuno and Josie. Tetsuno, a college student who is also a diver. He'd been working at a job so that way he can save up money to study abroad in Mexico so he can go dive there, as well as being able to see the clear and angelfish in the wild, since it was his dream ever since he was young. But luckily, on one random night, he just so happened came across our next main protagonist, Josie, who was going down a hill because somebody pushed her down it. Now you may be thinking, did this start to spark between the two? Hell no! Josie hates this man and been calling him a pervert ever since they first met. But this just so happened that the grandma decided to hire Tetsuno as a caretaker for Josie, meaning now that Tetsuno is working 2 jobs at once. And yes, the caretaker job paid more. The job was pretty simple, just simply be her caretaker and listen to whatever she said, which led Josie to mess around with Tetsuno by making him do redundant things such as count how many strains there are in the floor mat or go pick up 10 clove-leaf clovers. It got into a point where Tetsuno decided to go and tell her in person that he was going to go quit the job. Thus led to the actual spark between the two. Now, funny enough, while researching and rewatching the movie again, I realized that the main talking point about this movie is the two perspective. Quite the coincidence, huh? But in all seriousness, everyone have different perspective on everything. We could be looking at the same exact thing, but due to our worldview, have a different interpretation or meaning behind it. So, when Tonesu gets to see Josie room for the first time, he gets to see her worldview of what the ocean is. While the ocean is clearly made up, it's still beautiful. It's like seeing a virtual creation that doesn't exist in real life, but you wish you can explore it in real life. This is what I mentioned earlier, where just starting off with them having a common interest in one thing can help bridge the gap between the two, and you can build upon that to make the bridge stronger. We learn multiple things about them just based off of this one topic. Tetsuno have a weakness for anyone who have the love for a sea. Josie, being paraplegic for most of her life, if not all, only heard about the sea based off of stories from her father and in books, and she wanted to not only go there, but taste how salty the seawater is. Thus led to these two going to the beach and having this beautiful moment with each other. There are honestly so many good and beautiful dialogue from this show, especially from Josie. But besides just obviously bloating this video, I don't want to get a copyright strike just in case, so I won't be playing much dialogue in this video. Hell, I feel like this me summarizing it won't do it justice. But thanks to that connection of the sea, they both started bonding with each other more. Instead of the caretaker, aka Tetsuno, treating it like a job, he treating this more like an actual hangout with a friend, messing around with her, helping her out with her situation of being paraplegic any way he can, which in turn helped Josie broaden her worldview, going from this hateful and lonely and closed off person to someone who wants to be independent not only to herself, but being able to support her friend and later her boyfriend. Honestly beautiful, and that's just me summarizing the whole thing. There's so many things I could talk about with this movie that can be its own video, but if I can bring up one more thing, that would be sympathy and empathy, where it's one thing to be sorry for the person, but it's another thing to be in their shoe and not only to understand, but feel what they're going through. Which, funny enough, not only did this happen in the movie with Mai, which is someone who also loved Tetsuno and wished to date him, but also happened on Twitter. Mai is the character that is also interested in Tetsuno, but sadly never get him in the end. Well, technically speaking, not sadly, because some of the shits he pulled, man. So, right off the bat, C is much better than a lot of the secondary relationship or those characters that love the MC, but you know they're not going to get the MC. For example, she put her differences aside with Josie, so that way they can help support Tetsuno in the hospital. Not only that, but she also helped out Tetsuno when she was missing. So despite what I'm going to say here in a second, she is a good person and a great friend. I think it's just that whether it be due to her caring for her friends or just her actual love interest with Tetsuno, it must have got the best of her in a situation where it made her do the wrong thing. Of course, this doesn't justify her action, but it helps us understand why she did these things. Throughout the movie, we do get hints that Mai have a crush on Tetsuno. However, we know that as the movie go on, that's not gonna happen, and Mai knows this as well. After some time have happened to where Tetsuno is now in the hospital and is gotten paraplegic for only about 2 months, but now Tetsuno is losing his chance at being able to study abroad because if he doesn't heal in time, the school in Mexico will have to choose another student. At this point, Tetsuno now know how it feels when everything just out of reach, being able to experience a similar situation to Josie life. Of course, Tetsuno's friend visits and he get a visit from Mai, which the two decide to go on a walk. And here, Mai decides to confess. It's quite painful to watch, not just because the obvious fact of he obviously interested in Josie, but it's painful for Mai that she know that Tetsuno doesn't like her like that. She know that Tetsuno is interested in Josie. And Mai told Tetsuno that he doesn't need to speak because Mai knows that she never was going to get Tetsuno. It's quite painful to watch. And it's not in a bad way, it's more as in a cold hard reality way. But then, she go crazy for some reason, going up to Josie's door, saying that I know Tetsuno better. I know he give up on his dream, and I want him to be mine. I want him by my side forever. And then Josie opened the door and be like, bitch, you crazy? That is not the Tessino that I know. That is not the Tessino that you know. He would never give up on his dreams. And see, right. Because even after assuming that Tessino couldn't go to Mexico after he graduated college, he still wants to go to Mexico, to go there and dive and see the Korean the Claration angelfish. That's why Mai isn't compatible with Tessino. Sure, you could have been friends with them longer than the person they're actually dating, but just because you have that factor doesn't mean that you actually know the person. It doesn't mean that you guys are compatible for dating. Before we go switch to the story, I do have to mention about the Twitter. Going back on the topic about sympathy and empathy, it's like this. Sympathy is that you understand and acknowledge the person's loss. That's why people usually respond with, oh, I understand what you're going through, or, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. But empathy is the experience, the feeling of knowing what they're going through. This is why Tessino took a while to actually understand Josie. During all those hangout and then eventually him becoming paraplegic for a short period of time, he was first sympathetic towards Josie, but as the movie goes on, he started becoming empathetic towards her, finally understanding what it means when everything is just out of reach. And this is where Twitter comes in. The most sympathetic place of them all.
Down syndrome who was taken from her mother and put in a cage. I read about did you say want?
Yeah, once someone posted this scene online with the caption of the average male fantasy, it got a whole bunch of retweets saying how this is disgusting. Someone even said that this is the male fantasy because he can't run away, so he's bound to a wheelchair. Jesus Christ, guys! Yeah, I don't know why Twitter like this. Twitter just a cesspool. In all honesty, there are reasons to think like this way. There are so many people out there both in online and in the real world that are just grotesque and awful people that are willing to take advantage of people and one another. While this goes for both gender and anywhere in the world, most of the time we always hear this happen with men. This, sadly, will delve into a whole new topic that is not related to the video whatsoever. So if you want to delve more into this, I highly recommend checking out this video or similar video along with this. But in the case of this film, they've taken this scene out of context. Without the context of the film, a lot of people have to fill in the blanks by using their own experience to help match up what could be similar to this. And this varies from person to person, as we've seen with this case, where a lot of people see this as grotesque and a sexualized fantasy. But with the context of the film, it is not a sexualization of someone taking advantage of a crippled person. It is someone who is helping out a paraplegic person from the kindness of their own heart. Hell, there are even some people who retweeted the post saying their own experience. But honestly, that's all I have to say about this movie. As for the honorable mention, I would suggest watching Four Sisters and a Wedding. It's a Filipino comedy drama movie centered around four sisters with their brother who is getting married. Funny enough is, one of the Filipino YouTube channel posts the whole movie online, just straight up the full thing in English subtitles. That is honestly surprising. Funny enough, my favorite genre of romance is usually lesbian romance. Why? Well, just like the problem I had before with straight couple relationship, it seemed like when it comes to lesbian romance story, they seem to be done better and made more realistic. Plus the added experience of why they are lesbians and the struggle of being a lesbian or just loving the same sex as you in a society that, depending on the place, don't allow same-sex marriage or same-sex relationship. There is quite honestly a lot of series I could recommend, but overall I think there is one that must need to be talked about. Love Bullet. It's literally just a case of Cupid with guns. The world of Love Bullet is this. In a world where if someone meet an untimely demise and they never experience or fall in love, the goddess of love reincarnate them into one of their Cupid, which are tasked with the goal of making other people fall in love. With of course a few criteria that one, that Cupid cannot fall in love nor age, and they must make sure that the matchmaker are suitable for one another. If they are able to complete the second task, they gain karma, and with enough karma, they will then get a second chance at life, being reincarnated back when they die albeit in present day. Meaning that if you died 5 years ago and your friend was in high school, you would be reincarnated as a high schooler, but your friend would be in college. And thanks to advancement in technology, the Cupid now use guns instead of bow and arrows. I kid you not, that is literally just the premise. This series is funny, action-packed, and pull on your heartstrings. Since this is an ongoing series at the moment, and their release of chapter is on par with me releasing videos, I'm only going to be discussing the first arc in the series, which leads us to 2019 in Tokyo, Japan. It started in a high school with a love confession that went well, thanks to no other than Koharu, our protagonist, who is known in the high school for being the Cupid of the class, always getting people together with each other and know who is suitable for who. Everyone is cheering and bombarding her, asking if they can help them get a date, until Aki, her best friend, step in. She basically just tell everyone to get lost. Once Aki is alone with Koharu, she exclaimed that Koharu is wore out. She needs to start worrying about herself and focus on her future. But Koharu isn't a person who worries about herself. She too considerate to others. She even pointed out how that the two haven't been hanging out that much recently, which led Aki to basically come out by saying that yeah, she exposed her. She is jealous about everyone just always being around her and such. It really get on her nerve how considerate Koharu is, but it also what she really like about her. And right then and there, she confessed. And Koharu just got no clue how to respond. It revealed that she have never been liked by anyone, nor liked anyone before. So she don't know how she's supposed to react at all. She just stunned there as Aki just blankly stared. And then the accident happened. Despite Koharu pushing Aki out of the way, Koharu sadly couldn't make it out of the way, being impaled by a rod. Bleeding out as Aki called for help. This is how Koharu died, never falling in love, wishing that she could fall in love as well. In the blink of an eye, Koharu wakes up as a Cupid. Yeah, so right off the bat, that was all in one chapter. But even without the context of chapter 0, you still understand and get the implication of what's going on. Especially how crazy that introduction is. Damn it, this is what they call Doom Yuri then? By the start of chapter 2, we meet Kana, who is basically giving Koharu the rundown of what happened to her and why she a Cupid. Explain to her the whole mechanic and plot of the story. Eventually, Koharu realized, ah shit, I just died in front of my best friend who confessed her love. Then Kana asks Koharu if she wants to see her best friend, which Koharu agrees. Being excited to see Aki after you know what, she finally is able to catch up to Aki only to find out 5 years has passed. While it was only a moment for Koharu, 5 years had passed in the real world, and Aki is now in college, studying for an art degree in Tokyo University. It's here where Kana assigned Koharu Fus? What? God damn it. It's here where Kana give Koharu her first assignment, find a target for her best friend. As the arc keep going on, the punches and bullet wounds just get deeper and deeper. Finding a suitable partner for her best friend is gonna be hard, not only because everyone's keep gawking around her, but in her report card, yes, this is a thing with every target, the only person she actually have a crush on was Koharu, even up to present day by the time this chapter was released. This made Koharu cry with joy, realizing that she's still been thinking about her after all these years. And then this fucker show up! Thanks to Chio, this mission got a bit more complicated, adding to the mix that Chio doesn't care whoever the target? Oh my god, why am I messing up my words? So he doesn't care who the target is, just so as long as he can get a fight in. Luckily, Kana the Go is here to help Koharu, by basically distracting her and giving Koharu enough time to help find her best friend a suitable partner. Honestly, this part I know I will have to skip over, but man, the fight scenes are crazy fun, man. The weight and struggle behind the fight scene, the trickery Kohanas? What? The trickery Koharu, oh my gosh. The trickery that the mentor used, the mentors? What am I even saying? But while all of this is happening, Koharu would have to go undercover, yes Cupid can do this, on who would be a perfect match for her best friend, Aki. Which then she just so happened came across a girl who, I'm not gonna lie, sees basically if Koharu was still alive. Once Koharu was able to get the two alone, We finally get to learn more about present-day Aki. Aki explained that 5 years ago, her best friend Koharu died right after she confessed to her. All those feelings that she felt from that accident, she poured it all into her arts, which thanks to that got her into the university. But every single time she thinks that she passed away from that pain and grief come back to strike her again, always making her question herself. Why did you scold her instead of listening to what she had to say? Why did you confess to her when you knew she didn't like you back? Why? Now that Koharu gone, she won't be able to experience things again such as love or anything else. These thoughts keep on repeating her over and over in her head. It wouldn't be till recently, most likely when she was 20, when she realized that she was still in love with her. But at the same time, she realized how distant the memories were to her. As time passes, their distance between the two will grow larger. Even though Koharu is dead, Aki still don't want her to worry. She wants to overcome her pain to the best of her ability. Aki knew her best friend was the type to fuss over others, constantly worry about them. So Aki thought that if she was always constantly miserable, being stuck in the past, Koharu would be sad. Of course he misses her. Hell, the pain going to keep lingering on probably for the rest of her life. But she have to keep moving forward. To Aki, she know that the best she can do is not only cherish these memories with Koharu, but to show her that she'll be okay. As Koharu readied her gun, she assured Aki that she will always be a strong person. She thanks her and reassure her that she'll be okay. Yeah, even while rereading this scene still get me teary-eyed, not gonna lie. The emotional weight behind this, the fact of not being able to move on from the past, but still trying your best to do so. Wanting to do the best not only for you, but your deceased friend. And the final scene where Koharu says see you later as if it was a temporary goodbye for them to meet again in the future, but also her crying at the picnic after the mission was complete. Everything about it just, mwah, chef kiss, just, I'm eating good tonight, fellas. Now honestly, this manga is still ongoing, but either way, you can easily catch up and read it, and there have been a recent announcement of an official English translation being sent over to the US in November. Speaking of English, I think the community for Love Bullet is amazing. When Love Bullet was first released, the sale for the overall series was not doing so great. The mangaka / artist already had the whole series planned out and everything. However, due to the sale over in Japan, the manga was in serious threat of being cancelled, where even the mangaka have to make an announcement in their own manga that they are seriously low on sale and need any support they can to help keep the series afloat. That's where the Western fans come in. While I'm not exactly sure how popular the series is over in Japan, over in the West, when they learned that the series was in need of dire support to help fund it, this fan rushed in so hard. Mind you, there were no English translation made during this time, so they purchased the full Japanese release of Volume 1 from Japan to be shipped over to the West, to the point where not only did they sold out inventory of the first volume in Japan, but they had to restock it so that way they can keep up with demand overseas. Currently, we don't know how much it helped the series, but it got into a point where they gained a full English release to be shipped over to the US, and the author is so thankful and grateful for this and so happy. It's literally just a feedback loop of just helping each other out, and I hope to see more of this manga in the future and see it all the way to the end. If you guys are interested in this manga, definitely give it a read, and if you're even more interested in help supporting the creator, well, we are getting an English release soon, so... But in all seriousness, usually at the end of the English fan translation or just fan translation in general, there's a dedicated page of whether that be the usual facts about certain thing of Japan or that happened in a chapter. Sometimes these chapters also have a section or just a whole page dedicated to how you can support the author if you don't live in Japan or can't easily purchase one. But yeah, please, give it a read if you want. Oh yeah, before we leave, I gotta give a mention about another lesbian series. I would suggest the manga She Loved to Cook and She Loved to Eat. Premise pretty simple. Protagonist loved cooking food, made too much one day, and then invite her neighbor over who loved to eat food. Also, the food looked delicious. I'm taking those. Just give me the food! I'm not gonna lie with this one. It was quite hard to find a good gay romance film or just piece of media. There are not that many gay romance film or just media out there, and if there are, you know. which made me confused and wonder why. At least from my research and experience, there are more films and literature and media that talk more about lesbian love rather than gay love. And for those who are thinking, yes, I know Yuri on Ice is a yaoi/boy love film, I honestly don't like it. Originally, the plan was to do Given, but I realized how much content there were when it comes to watching that show. So I'm only going to be covering the first season of Given, but after season 1, there are 3 movies that are out that wrap up the entire series. But with that out of the way, let's talk about Given. Comparing Given to the other 2 anime we just talked about, it's surprisingly one of the most tamest but also one of the most heartbreaking out of the 3. The way how Given is able to tell its story is both truthful and impactful. I guess the best way to describe Given is how to move on from the past when you're stuck in it. Or better yet, being in Aki's situation instead of Koharu. So while we are technically treading similar grounds here, the story as well as the execution of it is very different compared to Love Bullet. The story centers around 2 main characters, Mafuyu Sato and Riska And honestly, the premise is quite simple. One day when Riska went to go at his usual napping spot during PE, he suddenly came across Mafuyu, which then he would later invite him to his boy band. And the whole premise is about obviously these 2 getting together, but figuring out the mystery behind Mafuyu, especially that guitar. This is where we have to dive deep into these 2 characters. First, let's start off with Mafuyu. Not much is really known of Mafuyu at the start of the anime. We always see him carry the same guitar around even at school or just anywhere he goes. That because Mafuyu was actually in another relationship with a guy back when he was in middle school. And honestly, that was quite the surprise. I thought it was going to be the case of like both of them discovering their sexuality with one another. Nah, he was just gay to begin with. Yuki Yoshida is Mafuyu's best friend and also lover. And despite these 2 being completely different to one another, there are a big reason why these 2 are so close. You see, when they first met, Mafuyu was just all alone, and I kid you not when I say he opened his starter conversation by saying that his dad beat him. I don't know why you start off with that, but okay. But because of this, Yuki was able to help get his dad arrested, which led to them being best friends, and then later on develop this friendship into a lover romance. And that's why these 2 are so important to each other. But then one day, they got into a dumb argument as Mafuyu said, which from the argument, all we can learn from it was him asking, will he die for Mafuyu? Which sadly later that night, he would be hanging from the ceiling in his room. And it was here where not only was he holding his boyfriend's guitar, but when he first witnessed his body, he broke the string, resembling his relationship and bond with him, breaking the string that helped create the connection between the 2. And because of this, all the way up to high school before he met Riska, he was stuck in the past, unable to move on, always remembering and witnessing. The best way to describe it is like, imagine that one best friend you have or friends you have, and there are certain moments that you cherish with them or remember with them. Now imagine them just gone. The next time you go enjoy that same experience you have with that one friend, you go and start seeing echo of them. But for Mafuyu's case, he literally lost someone close to him, and because of that, he doesn't know how to react, which then result in him in a sense being standstill, being caught up in all these past memories of him and experiences. Mafuyu is still stuck in that echoes of his past lover, and he just simply unable to move on, thinking that it's just forever broken. That was until Risuke come in. I think honestly the whole symbolism with the guitar is the best way to explain Mafuyu mentality or just his bond with people and as well as others and his boyfriend. Risuke helped fix the guitar, and then later on in the anime when they get into an argument that result in not only potentially their friendship being destroyed, but as well as potentially dissolving the band, it get called back to from the first episode by one of their bandmates that they could just fix it again. Which so that even if your bond is get broken again, as long as you allow yourself or others to help you, you are able to rebuild that bond and connection with another, which is so good. And of course, that song. Holy crap, the song. It's so good. I thought this was Mafuyu saying goodbye to his lover slash best friend, but the more I listened to it, the more that this is him screaming toward his lover, and not as in a "I fucking hate you," but in the sense of a tearful row of just asking, "Why do you leave me? I'm alone in this world without you now." Showing how much he affected his life once he was gone. Like, the best way to summarize this is the lyrics near the bridge of the song, where he say, "Just like a spell that's still unbroken, or maybe some kind of curse, I'm still holding on to my thoughts. Hey, what kind of tomorrow should I look for in this town?" And then he just let out a scream that needed to be let out, that had been building up all those years. The reason why the subtext call it that he's still drifting in his echoes. During a beach trip one day, his boyfriend asked a question of, "How much will you remember this?" Obviously, you will remember that we went to the beach and took a bus, but how much of the detail will you remember? Do you remember which bus we took? Do you remember the salty air that you can smell? Do you remember the gay sex joke I was making during that time? And at the end of the song, Mafia finally answered that question, that he not gonna remember everything. 5 years later, he will forget what bus they took. And 10 years later, he probably gonna forget the person he fell in love with that he went to the beach. Or at least the detail of them. But no matter what, he's still gonna see those echoes of those memories in his everyday life. And he's currently seeing those memories in Risque. It's so good! Speaking of Risque, the other gay lover. Obviously, despite Risque being the lover boy towards Mafuyu, they have to be a reason why he loved this man. At first, when he first met Mafuyu, he didn't really have anything in relation nor want to hang out with him. But as soon as he heard his voice sung, something struck a chord inside him. It somehow speak to his soul or light up a fire within him. This led to him wanting to interact with Mafuyu more, wanting to befriend him, to even help him. And what's insane too is that he was the one who helped cause a problem / drift between themselves by potentially worrying too much or making actions that would result in them potentially causing a rift between the two. And when he reaches breaking point, Risque didn't just disappear or up and left. He didn't just walk out there. He ran to the nearest guitar store he could go to come back as fast as he can and fix up that guitar string, showing that he can still rebuild that bond back up. It's so good. I think what's also interesting about this story is how, despite being a boy love story, Risque isn't gay at the start of the show. While yes, he does develop feeling for him, it wasn't until way later in the anime he started questioning it. And honestly, it was such a realistic interaction. Risque first developed feeling for Mafuyu, but he doesn't know what they are, nor does he actually take the first thoughts of, "Oh, I could be in love with this guy." As the show keep going, there are more and more evidence showing that, holy shit, I actually have romantic feeling for a dude. And he start questioning, is this okay to feel this way? And this felt the most realistic thing I ever saw in a gay romance media. Obviously, not everyone is born gay, let alone just, "Oh, I like a man? I want you inside me." But you start questioning yourself, not only if you like men, but try to disprove any way you can that you don't like the same gender as you. And honestly, this is very realistic and normal. So Risque was stuck in this dilemma of just trying to figure out, is it okay to feel like this? Am I actually having feeling for a guy right now? And the only person who really was helped to reassure that to have those feelings is okay was his band member, and he explained how it's okay if you have feeling for the same gender. I think that honestly was really helpful. Sometime, or at least before you could come to your own conclusion that you do like the same sex as you need that second party or third party to help you out, or to explain that it is okay to like the same gender as you. Now, of course, it will depend on where you're from and who your friends are. For example, if you live in a religious society or a place where they don't allow same-sex relationship, you're most likely going to get answers that what you're feeling is wrong. But in certain places, especially nowadays where we becoming more and more accepting, people are going to help you reassure that it's okay to have these feelings. And honestly, if it only for this person or if it just come and goes, that's okay too. People are entitled to who they love and who they like. Obviously, as long as you're not hurting or ruining anyone's lives, then you're okay to like who you like. If you don't like the same sex as you, that's okay. If you do, that's okay. If you just don't like romance or sex in general, that's also okay. And I think that what this anime does beautifully, showing that it is okay not only to love who you love, but also to show that people who you love in the past, whether they're gone now due to life-altering events or just a simple breakup, can show that they have a massive impact on you and your life. And honestly, I think that's beautiful. Ah, fuck, I forgot. I gotta suggest a game romance film. Shit, I don't know much media. Moonlight, go watch it. And so, that was all I have to yap about. So what did we learn today? Well, romance is illogical. While at first it can come off illogical, whether that be you dating the same sex as someone or seemingly getting with someone that you would never expect them to get with in your life. Look at Smiley Friends for example. But the more you peel back at the layer, the more you start to understand that this illogical solution or answer somehow makes sense. These are people who genuinely care about each other and made a huge impact on their life. Even once they're gone from their life, whether that be through to them drifting apart or honestly with these stories, just death. It's such a common occurrence that it's death, that they play an impactful role on their life, and honestly it's hard for them to move on. But even if they don't, they still can find love, whether through their past lover or even echo them in the future. So overall, despite me being a hopeless romantic, I think that honestly, love, while being logical, it's honestly quite a beautiful thing. Obviously, there are always going to be counter argument and of course those examples that are showing why those type of love are bad. I'm mainly talking about those examples that are only used to win an argument, not actual evidence. But like I said before, love is illogical. But I guess this hopeless romantic who been single since birth just gotta say, just know that love is illogical. And as long as it doesn't hurt anyone, I think you're gonna be alright. I think that what we learned from this, on why love is illogical. That, or was this just one convoluted way of just showing same-sex material to people online so that way I can just call them gay? Thank you for watching everyone, I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.